WRTV celebrates Black History Month, and tonight we take you inside a place that has meant so much to so many families, leaders, former slaves, and worshipers over nearly 19 decades.
Yeah, and I show you the way virtual reality is keeping the history alive and accessible. On a short stretch of Vermont Street near the canal, Olivia McGee Lockhart is my tour guide through history.
The depth of the perimeter walls were this deep.
And my guide through the old Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church building, which no longer serves as a church, but the spirit of its history remains.
My grandmother grabbed my hand and said, "Let's go." And we continued to do that until her last day. So it's deep rooted in that from the time I was in Sunday school, you know, at least age 5, 6, until right now.
Miss Olivia has become an expert on this place and the people who made it so much more than a building.
Bethel, Indianapolis grew with Indianapolis, the city.
Bethel AME is the city's oldest African-American congregation, organized in 1836 and originally called Indianapolis Station. Its congregants met in the log cabin home of its founder, August Turner. The church and its members were active in the anti-slavery movement and even served as a stop on the Underground Railroad.
For those who were, quote, fugitives, per se, they found the Indianapolis Station and received help and assistance in as best they could at the time.
The church name had changed a couple of times, as did its locations. In 1867, Bethel AME Church hired an architect to build this brick structure, which would be its home until 2016. The church served as a community center and a hub for Indianapolis's black community, stepping up in times of crisis.
1912, 13, somewhere along the line, there was humongous flooding of the downtown area here. And Bethel served as a place where those homes that had been destroyed and things of that nature were able to come here to get food and clothing or whatever, and probably just sleep here.
By 2015, time had taken its toll on the building, and the congregation tried to raise money for renovations and repairs, but ultimately decided it was time to move, and vacated the Vermont Street location in 2016.
Oh yeah, I cried like a baby. I mean, when you grew up in this place, we know that the church is composed of people, but the place itself has so much a part of you within you, you know. You could close your eyes as a kid and walk through here.
And that's exactly the experience faculty members at IUPUI aimed to recreate and offer, as preserving the history of the Bethel Church building became a top priority. Zebulon Wood specializes in 3D animation and in 2017 worked with his students to create a virtual reality rendition of Bethel.
Historical preservation was something I was curious about. It needs the same skill sets as video games, virtual reality does. And we started asking ourselves, well, how can we recreate this historical importance of this space in a way anybody can try it out.
It really feels like you're standing in the room. The interactive virtual reality experience allows users to walk through and look around the church as it was. It feels like I'm really here. It feels like all this is right in front of me. We have the altar and the pulpits right here in front of me. You can see the pipes from the organ. It also engages users to read about the church's history, pastors, and notable members, including Madam C.J. Walker.
I like to think that I educate and inspire future librarians and archivists.
Professor Andrea Copeland is the chair of the Department of Library and Information Science at the Luddy School at IUPUI.
It took a lot of folks to come together on this to preserve that collection and to make it accessible to a wider audience.
She wrote grants to fund projects to preserve the history of Bethel AME and worked with Miss Olivia, who was the steward of the church's archive, to make it happen.
This was just a rich treasure for the city and for the people of the city because it told the story of contributions of African Americans to the development of our city.
The church building itself was added to the National Historic Registry in 1991. Preserving the historic integrity and its story was key for the developers working on the Hampton Inn Hotel project.
You're checking into history.
The pulpits are part of the reception desk. The original stained glass windows are a prominent feature in meeting rooms, and communion and balcony railings accent the corridors, and the chandeliers still hang from the ceiling. The staff is versed on the history and ready to share with any guests or locals ready to walk in and learn a lesson.
The honor that you have when they walk through the door and they go, "Is this a church?" And you go, "Yes, let me tell you a story."
We have shared our story. You can preserve your history so easily. You just have to take time to do it.
Well, the congregation has relocated to Zionsville Road on the northwest side of Indianapolis and continues the outreach and community connection mission it started in the 19th century. You can learn more about the history and see artifacts at the Indiana State Museum, the Indianapolis Central Library, IUPUI, and the historic building at the Hampton Inn on Vermont Street. It is all open to the public.